Welcome back to another episode of With Gus. Today we are talking about streaming and how I've been instructing people and setting up my own streams for the Milo Live parties and discussing all the hardware, software and everything that makes it click. Let's get out of the studio here and let's have a look what I've got. Okay, so this is my setup, which is two CDJs, they're old ones. I've got a Behringer DDM 4000. That runs the audio to both the master out speakers for listening, and then this extra little interface which connects to a USB to the computer. That allows me to adjust the volume of the signal going in, and then I can adjust it and maximize my clipping settings. So because I'm running a green screen setup as well, I've got a few lights, one on the side, one on the other side, and then one in the middle as a key light, just to you want to eliminate as many shadows as possible, so this just appears as green as it possibly can for the software to recognize and then delete it. So all you're left with is just the DJ in front and the decks and everything else that is not green. This is the back of my mixer, and it shows the inputs and outputs. Input 3 is this deck here. Input 2 is that deck. Input 1 is a feed I have running back from the mixer so I can hear what's happening from the computer. Not really essential. Something that is essential though is that when you're outputting that you use the tape output. Some other mixers have different kind of outputs, but the tape ones, it's the best one. So it takes the signal from these sliders, not the master output, which means that as long as this is up or down, it controls what's happening. So if you decide, if you're throwing a party and you want to turn your speakers up, here it doesn't affect the volume of the stream. So it's very important, and it just makes it easier in setting your settings right the first time and then not having to worry about it later. Because most of the time I think you get into a mix and you're like, man, this could be louder, this could be a lot louder, turn it up. In terms of the video input, what I have is this USB cable connects to get the focus, this HDMI to USB converter, which allows the input of a HDMI signal from a camera. The camera that I'm currently using normally sits there, and then I use that to stream. The laptop also has a webcam, so you can use that as well, if you don't have this extravagant setup. Webcam is what most people have been using for most of the live parties, and it's been quite good actually. Okay, so you've seen around the studio a little bit, and you can see the green screen behind me is doing its thing. So now I'll take you into the computer and we can see how it all comes together. So the things we have to consider are, we've got the video feed coming in, we've got the main camera, that one, and then we've also got the audio feed coming in, which is from the little mixer over there. So how to bring those all together and make sure it's all synced up and looking good, that's the trick. Alright, so what I'm going to do is take you through like a general Milo Live setup and how that all goes through and how it's all arranged on the computer. So it generally starts with the loading page, which is simply it's an image that I provided that all the DJs get, and also has an audio input, as you can hear me still talking. So you can have the static image and your mix coming through. And then while you're getting ready, and this makes a nice little intro for the video and it gives the crowd time to settle in, then you can change over to your first scene, which might be you having a mix or doing whatever. So this one's just a simple one, video, the green screen, so static image as the background. It's also got the same audio input because you want, during the changeover between the scenes, you want the audio to be seamless and no stutters or changing of anything. Then simply changing to another scene is super simple. The audio input's the same. Something we're missing actually is the Milo overlay, which is there on the screen now. That's just a PNG that's provided, so it has a clear background. It can be placed over anything, and just the text will show through. I think all the rest have them. Oh, you can also do other effects with doubling up on your video feed and making the one in the background a bit larger. So where you go, it sort of makes this kind of trippy effect. And then here's the laptop camera. So you can use both. You could set up an automatic scene switcher, go between each, or simply kick it with a good camera. That's what I would prefer. So just run through from the top here and I'll just make it so you can see what's going on. This is the loading page. So I explained that it was just one simple image, and then the audio input. You can see up on the left here, the bars are going green. And that means that audio is coming in. So when you create your next scene, well, we'll go this one so you can see me. You want to duplicate your audio input so you have the same audio input coming from the little mixer, and so when you change scenes, it's all the same and it's all seamless. On top of that, we have the image in the background. So this was green, remember, and it's just a map of South America. There's also the video input, which is from the video, and then the Milo overlay. So these things need to go top down in order so you can see them as they're laying on top of each other. So audio input, obviously you don't have to see it, so I always put it at the bottom. The Milo overlay, which is the small graphic here, there, always put it at the top, because if it's underneath anything like the video feed, you won't see it, and then you're going to have an issue. This one is basically this exact same scene, except I've just disabled the video feed and just put a 2-second fade between the scene changeovers, which makes it kind of nice. The next scene is set up using, what is it? It's got a VLC playlist, so you need to install the VLC plugin so OBS can recognize it as a source. And all you need to do is open it up, select all your files, all your video files that you want to play. So I think I've got 10 or 15 different tracks that just loop around in the background, and then it'll just play through them in order, and it's as simple as that. Obviously this has got to be put at a lower layer in the stack, so as that everything on top can be seen. Also in these feeds I have the chat overlay, which gets sampled from Restream, which is the service I use to export from OBS Studios to all the channels that I stream to. So that includes Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, and Mixcloud. So this Restream chat collects all of the chat that's going on, puts it in a nice feed, and then you can get a URL feed to bring it into OBS, and then you can display it over the top with some cool graphic design features and different fonts and things. I mean, probably not too useful if you're a DJ. You might not want that appearing in the screen because you don't know what anyone could write. But yeah, it's kind of funny sometimes. Alright, and let's take a little dive into the settings here. I'll take it back to the loading page. We go settings and I'll see what I'm running. So here, stream, you can see that I'm connected to Restream, which is my my server that I'm using to manage the splitting of the streams. So I am exporting to Twitch and Facebook and YouTube, like I said. The output really depends here on this video bitrate bit on your maximum upload speed. So here in the farm we get about 10 megabit per second. So I've just set it to 4, which seems to be more than enough quality for online. Unfortunately, Twitch's maximum audio bitrate is 160, so that's what we have it set at. And then, you know, the recording section is all about recording a local file to the computer. So it's not necessarily, you know, what you need if you're going to be streaming. I usually just stream and then do the recording later because I can download straight from Twitch. The audio refers to different channels that might be coming in. I have all these disabled. So desktop audio is like, that's all the audio sounds from the Windows operating system or whatever computer you're using. So, you know, things like notifications and low battery alerts. So you don't really want that coming through the stream. And the audio feed that I have coming in is its own. I've made it its own channel, so it doesn't appear here. For video, I have it set to 1920 by 1080. And then for the output, depending on your upload, ours is pretty good, so I have it set to also 1920 by 1080. But you might want to drop that to 720 if you're having issues with a low upload speed. Alright, so let's dive a little bit deeper again and we can check my audio input and the video input settings. So we'll come here to our sources and to one I've called audio in. I don't even need to do that, just double click on it. Gives you the option here to select your various inputs. So default is, I have no idea. This microphone is my 2 USB audio codec. That's my little Behringer mixer to the side. I don't know why it's called that. The microphone Realtek audio is the laptop's audio source. So make sure that's turned off everywhere. Like sometimes it'll make another channel and you just gotta cut it off because otherwise you're gonna hear what your speakers are outputting and your recording and your stream is gonna sound all crap. The last one, digital audio interface, is the camera's microphone input. So I could run signal from the decks straight to the camera and then the camera to the computer, and it would help with any syncing issues if I was having any issues like that, which I'm currently not. So I'm just kicking it straight in through USB. Next thing we'll look at is the video capture device, which is the EasyCap U3 Capture. Other options are Easy Camera and OBS Camera, which is a virtual camera I've set up for streaming to Chat Roulette. So it has options here to deactivate, configure the video, which gives some really basic and crappy settings in there. Now here you want to match the output resolution and FPS from your camera. So the camera is currently outputting 1920 by 1080. So here you just want to match that. The frames per second is 30. Everything else is fine. That's all fine as well. So, what else to talk about? I don't really know. The thing with streaming, I suppose, is that it is as simple or as complicated as you want to make it. So this is quite a complicated setup, but when you break it all down, it's quite simple. You have the audio, you have the audio feed being controlled by the mixer, which comes in to the computer. You have the video, goes from the camera into here, and the lighting and the background. So as long as you can get those things in the right layers, in the right order, shouldn't have any trouble. This should set you up pretty nicely to start streaming with Gus.
With Gus.